What's up, guys? Valence Ring here, and I wanted to bring you a video on a question I get quite often, and that's about the alliance structure and what makes a good alliance. So I'm going to cover both of those topics in this video, and I'm going to do a follow-up video after this covering immigrating from one state to another as an alliance. So definitely stay tuned for that video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let's dive right in. So we're going to be talking about alliances. Now, most of you are probably in an alliance and are hopefully active in your alliance, but some people don't really understand what it means, the roles and what they mean, and what you need to do. So if you go into your alliance tab and click your alliance member, this will bring up all the roles, the leadership roles and the rank of each member as they're ranked, starting from R5, which is the leader. There is only one R5, and then the R4s, which are technically the secondary leadership of the alliance, and then R3s, R2s, and R1s. Now you can go down here and look through those, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But first, let's talk about these roles at the top that you see here, which is the militarist, the recruiter, overseer, and diplomat. Now, each of these roles are assigned to active members in the alliance, and they are normally assigned by the leader and can be voted on as far as who should take over that role. I will say these are usually some of the most active members in the alliance. They're normally online for each and every event, and they also take a leadership role in the sense that they help their newer alliance members or alliance members that may not know what to do, how to do it, or when to do it. So that being said, there's only 4 roles, and it actually requires some work. So don't feel bad if you don't get one of these roles. If you want one, then be active in your alliance and show that you can handle the job, because it's a little bit of work. And I give a lot of props to our recruiter Chili Mac, because people ask me all the time about joining the alliance, and I'm like, no, you got to talk to Chili Mac, because he knows who's active and who's not, and what our might requirements are, and all those factors. So I'm the militarist, and that gives me a few perks as far as when we're doing battle. I have a little bit of control over some things. Our overseer, who also gets additional control over some things, that's I am Krem right now. And our diplomat, a great player, Groundstalker. I've been playing with him for quite some time, and I'll talk about how these roles work. So the militarist gets some benefits, and you can actually click in here and you'll see that certain roles can start different events. So for instance, Start Dead Rising is done by, and I always forget, the recruiter or the diplomat. While Recall Building Troops can be done by the militarist or the overseer. Allow recruit requests, that's going to be Chili Mac, the recruiter or the diplomat. So you can see how the roles are divided into tasks based upon what that role might be perceived as doing. So your diplomat is going to talk with other alliances and handle inter-alliance disputes, while the recruiter is going to obviously get new people into the alliance and handle the members that might need to be kicked out based upon their performance and things like that. So that's why I push a lot of that work off to our recruiter, because he knows better than I do when it comes to those things. And then the diplomat handles a lot of the the affairs between our alliance and other alliance to make sure that we cooperate and play nice with each other. So it's a tough job. Each of these are tough jobs. So anyways, you can go down here and look at these permissions, but the rank here will indicate what that role can specifically do. You can see that as the militarist, I can dismiss a rally, as well as the overseer, and of course we can all start alliance trial. So the leader can also do, I believe, any of these. The leader has full autonomy and can do anything that anyone else can do. So you can think of the leader, as you can see here, the stars down here at the bottom. This is the R5. He has stars across everything except for impeach the leader, which he can't do because he is the leader. And then everything else. So any role can impeach the leader, and I'll talk about that for a second, because that's how our leader actually got his originally, when he was like 2 or 3 days into the game, and it's a funny story. You should ask him about it sometimes. At any rate, impeachment, there are specific rules for it. First of all, your rank will determine your ability to impeach. Now, any rank can impeach, but you'll notice that the leader headquarters level and the offline hours is what allows for the impeachment. So, in theory, as long as the leader is online, you cannot impeach them. And just for the record, if you try to, it does actually notify them that you tried to. So don't do that just for fun, unless you know they're not going to get upset about it. But if they've been offline for long enough, and it's based upon their headquarters level and your rank, then you can see down here, it's basically like a chart, and basically will tell you how long that leader has to be offline before you can impeach them. That being said, we'll go back in here and we'll look at these ranks really quick. So the leader, as you can see, has all the stars for everything, has full control over the alliance. R4s are secondary leadership and can basically do almost everything the leader can do, with, of course, not the full alliance maintenance, such as changing the flag, the alias, or setting the primary language, all the stuff that you wouldn't necessarily need to do anyways. But R4s can, demote members, kick members. They can edit the alliance bulletin, the statement. They can, of course, impeach. They can write alliance mail, and you'll actually notice that R3s can write alliance mail too. So R2s and R1s are the bottom rung of ranks, and these are normally when you first join a new alliance, you're initially only granted an R1 rank, and then as you participate, you'll probably get bumped up to R2 or R3. If you're known to be an active member, you'll probably jump right to R2, perhaps R3. So normally if someone comes in and we're doing a merge or something like that, and we know they're active members, we don't keep them at R1. We go ahead, bump them up to R2, and then as long as they're active and there's no problems in a very short period of time, we bump them up to R3. Now R4, rank 4, is reserved specifically for leadership people in the alliance that take a leadership role. And what I mean by that is that they're always active, they're always communicating, they're in chat helping other members, they're running rallies, they're participating in events and things like that. So the ranks are really, it's partially a reward, but it's also an indication of how much effort that person puts into building the alliance as a whole. You can also see, if someone's been offline, it does notify you, and you'll notice that most of our R1s have been offline for multiple days, so we know that these are inactive players, and that's why they get bumped down to R1. R2s are also often inactive players, otherwise there's no reason not to have them as an R3. Or they might be an R2 if they might be active, but we don't know them. Maybe they don't talk in chat. Maybe we don't, they're only there for some events occasionally. Maybe they jump online every day, but maybe outside of jumping online every day, they're not active in the alliance. Then they might still be an R2. Otherwise, R2 is normally for newer members or members that are inactive. We bump them down to R2. If that becomes really long, then they get bumped down to R1. So newer alliances that form will have a slightly different hierarchy of when you get each rank. But just so you know, being an R1 doesn't mean anything bad. Yes, there's some limitations based upon this chart. You can only claim the alliance gift and impeach the leader. That's all you can do. But you can still participate in all the events. You can still get all the rewards. You're still a full member of the alliance. You just don't have any extra privileges. And an R2, a rank 2, basically has the same thing except for that they can report. And then R3s get the benefit of the alliance mail. Anything from R3 is technically considered a full-fledged active member. R4 is considered leadership, and R5 is the leader. And then, of course, you have your other ranks based upon, these are jobs. Don't get it messed up. These are jobs, okay? Anybody whose name up here is working for the alliance, for your team, and they are probably online more than most other members and are very active. So don't think it's necessarily a privilege. It is a privilege. I'm very honored to be the militarist for the Woodshed, but it's a job. Don't mistake it for not being a job. Especially the recruiter and the diplomat. They have a lot of responsibility as far as communication goes. I wouldn't want those jobs. Our guys do great at it, and I appreciate it. So that's pretty much the alliance structure. Now, what that means for you is that when you join a new alliance, don't worry too much about your rank. Just participate and be active and communicate. And if you do those things, then there's no reason why your alliance isn't going to move you up the ranks, probably to at least an R3. If you are taking on leadership roles and helping out, and you're there for important events, then you're probably going to get bumped to an R4 so that you can have more options of doing things. And then if you're really out there doing everything you possibly can for the alliance, and there are special situations where you're needed to start an event and you're trusted to do so, then that's when you start getting these jobs up top. So anyways, that's the structure. I want you to just consider that. So how do you determine what a good alliance is? So first of all, a good alliance, let's start with the basics, is they understand this basic structure and adhere to it to a certain degree. Obviously, they don't have to do it exactly how we do it, but they need to understand that these roles up here are important for active members and therefore are only giving them to active leadership players in the alliance that are on for these events and can perform the duties of their job. Is the recruiter recruiting? Is the diplomat, doing diplomacy? Those are the things that you want to consider. Is the overseer paying attention to the alliance and making sure that everyone is getting everything that they need? And is the militarist there for specific events so that he can or she can perform the duties of that job? If they're doing that, and you have a good leader that's active and participating and communicating, and you have a limited number of R4s and a lot of active R3s, these are the signs of a good alliance. Now, that doesn't mean they're great, and it doesn't mean they're perfect. No alliance is. So, how do you determine what's a good alliance for you? So, first of all, you should definitely want to chat. The alliance chat's down here, and you also have the state chat. But in alliance chat, you can see, people are talking about different rallies, and then they're talking about going to the dentist, which I don't know why, but that happens, and talking about themselves and communicating. That's important. Getting to know each other. That's a good alliance. And, understanding the rules that your alliance has is also important. So, that being said, those are kind of like the basics. You want people that you can talk to, basically, that you're going to be online with, and that you can share experiences with and participate in events. So the other factor that really makes a good alliance for you is knowing when they're going to be running their events. So again, if we go in here, we can see that Start Dead Rising has to be by one of these two people or the leader, and etc. So there's also Reservoir War, there's Dead Rising, Defensive Alliance, Valiant Conquest is important, Wasteland War is important, especially if you are active in your state, not just your alliance. But knowing what time most people are going to be on for those events is very important. Now, if you have a 100-member alliance, but only 5 people are on at any given time, then this could be a red flag as far as the alliance goes. They might be a great alliance, but they might have a really hard time doing well in events because they just don't have the membership turnout that they need. So, if you can, and it's not always perfect, but if you can find an alliance that has the time that works for you and most people of that alliance for doing those events, then you'll be fine, and that's a good alliance. So all in all, I would say understand the basic structure, understand what your role is and how you can improve your role through communication, cooperation, and participation. And then understand, getting to know people, using that chat feature to really help each other out, and, donate to each other when necessary, help on the big builds, give advice, things like that. And of course, participate in all the events that you possibly can and communicate about when you're available. And hopefully your leadership will be the type of leadership that coordinates with everyone to get the maximum time for everyone. And this does mean that sometimes you're going to be left out. We cannot coordinate with everyone all the time. So yes, sometimes some people get left out. It doesn't make it a bad alliance. It just means that not everyone is going to be able to do everything. But find an alliance where you can do most things, especially the ones you want to do and are good at, then that's what's going to really help you grow. So that's everything, guys. I really want to break that down really quick before I start talking about alliance immigration, because the one thing I want to note is if you're thinking about immigrating as an alliance, or if you're thinking about immigrating from one state to another, the most important thing that you need to consider is, are you in a good alliance, and is that alliance worth keeping together? Just because you like each other doesn't mean it's the best alliance, and just because you work well on some things doesn't mean that you should stick together, especially if you're jumping states. So I wanted to talk about this before that video, but in the next video I will talk about how to immigrate as an alliance. I hope this helps. Give it a big thumbs up if it did. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.